We need a lot of different voices in advocacy for people with disabilities. So today I am honored to have one of these new voices. I'm Annette from Nothing Without Us, Stories and Discussions of Meaningful Inclusion. I hope you like this episode, and if you do, please subscribe, drop me a like, make a comment. Comments are really important. And above all, tell your friends. So today I am honored to have a dear friend, Christina Battista, who is somebody I have known since she was a teenager. And she is now a disability advocate and has her own voice. So welcome, Christina.
Hi, Annette. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, why don't you tell people a little bit about, why what your disability is and why you've gotten into advocacy.
Sure. So I was born with a very rare physical disability, and it's known as arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. And really what that means is I was born with joints that do not move. So it affects my upper and my lower extremities, which requires me to have a personal care assistant with me throughout the days to do activities daily living. I was born with this disability, like I said. There's no really reasons for why it occurs. There's a lot of assumptions, but it's what I have, and I just go about my life just like everybody else. And you just kind of learn how to navigate the world with it. But I've had over 21 orthopedic surgeries, and I think each surgery has pretty much taught me some kind of a lesson. And how I got into disability advocating was probably at a very young early age, about 18 or 19. There was things going on at college that I needed. And my mom was like, you really need to learn how to advocate for yourself. I'm not always going to be by your side. And with that being said, I started to advocate for myself. Even actually at a very younger age in high school, I needed a personal care assistant with me. And they were having IEPs without me. And I said to my mom, if these meetings are about me, why can I not be in the room? And
Good
she's
for
like,
you.
yeah, she goes, that's really a good point. So she said to them, if my daughter's not present, then we're not having this meeting. So I guess it actually started in high school, Annette.
There you go. I'm not surprised because of the story I like to tell about Christina. When I was teaching her some software at her house, and it was before cell phones and stuff. And she had her princess phone in her bedroom. And when the phone rang, I mean, she would just knock the receiver over on the bed and throw herself down and put her ear on it. She was not going to miss a phone call. She was a teenage girl, and that's who she was going to be. And I thought that was great. And I just, loved that about you. That, this is it. This is my life, and I'm making it happen.
Thank you. You know
So
me, Annette, nothing stops me.
that's right. And that's the good thing. That's why you're the perfect advocate, because you can be a role model, you could show people how to do what they need to do, and you can tell those people who are not yet disabled um, how we live our lives and how important it is, how valuable we are to the community. And so that leads me a little bit into your work. Talk about your job and your current job. I know you've had a few, um, but what you do and how that is a very meaningful part of your advocacy journey.
Sure. So about 4 years ago, I started working at Skills Rhode Island's Future in Providence, Rhode Island, as what we call a supported employment coordinator. And my job is to help people that have different disabilities find employment opportunities. But we don't just find them employment opportunities, we really go on their employment journey with them. So some individuals come to us where they've had no work experience. They don't have a resume. So we help them write resumes. We help them build confidence. We actually set up tours that they can go on where places are hiring people with disabilities. Everything from the very beginning of the journey to the end. We do mock interviews with them. And I have to say this job is very rewarding, um, because at the end of the day, you feel like you've really made a difference in somebody's life. And I have to say, there has been some individuals where I don't want to say somebody would give up on them, but it takes a little bit more of thinking outside the box. And I think that's what I really like about it, is that sometimes you really have to think outside the box.
Right. You're not placing them all at McDonald's
Nope.
or fast foods. Now that's really cool. Yeah, that is.
Yes, we've had people work, we've had placements anywhere from a catering company to manufacturing roles to Ocean State Job Lot. Well, I'm not sure if I can use that name, I apologize, but different places.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And because people with disabilities are valuable employees.
Absolutely.
If you want to bring up a couple of the reasons people would want to hire those of us with disabilities.
I think the first question is, why not hiring a person with a
I
disability?
like that. Yeah, right.
You know, the individuals that I'm working with, yes, they might have a disability, but that doesn't mean they can't do anything that somebody else can do. Maybe they do it a little bit differently, but they can be a productive member of society. I have individuals where maybe their disability just requires them to have a checklist. You know, that's not a huge accommodation. And honestly, a lot of accommodations cost under $500. But I mean, people that work, they can contribute to society by going to restaurants and eating. They go shopping. Anything that anybody else that a person that has no disability would do. So
And
there's
they
really
pay
no
taxes.
difference.
They pay taxes too.
The taxes, you know, they travel. I mean, I love to travel. If I could do it all the time, I would.
Yeah, you got to have more than one job to make that happen,
You
or
do, you're
you
right.
know, or hit the lottery. But no, but you're right. I mean, people with disabilities do make good employees. And I always talk about one particular reason to an individual employer why that can be such an advantage is that because we are problem solvers. We have to solve problems. We have to do that every day to make our lives move forward.
Yes.
And that is a skill you want in your place of business. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And you bring up a great point, Annette. So again, I rely on personal care assistants for, you know, all of my activities of daily living. And, you know, your employer doesn't want to hear you can't get to work because you don't have a PCA. Yes, that is a barrier, but as the individual with the disability, I had to figure that stuff out. You know, okay, you can't come in, great. Who's my backup? Okay, family member, friend, you know, you do what you need to do because at the end of the day, you're still an employer. I mean, I'm sorry, an employee of a company that is relying on you.
right. Mhm. Right. So, you know, that is a big deal. And helping people find that perfect fit. Everybody in life looks for their best fit in employment. I mean, because employment's a lot more than your job and your paycheck.
Exactly.
Everybody benefits from their employment. There's satisfaction, there's pride, there's
Mm.
economic freedom, there's, a lot of things. Um,
And you know, how often, Annette, do you go to a gathering? And most of the conversations, at some point in the conversation, somebody says, "Oh, what do you do for work?" And I never liked that question when I wasn't working because I didn't feel like I could contribute to the conversation. But
right,
now that I've been working for several years, I love when people ask me that question. I'm like, well, let me tell you what I do. And once I tell them what I do, they are very, not only are they quote unquote excited to hear about that there's a program out there for people with disabilities that are looking for employment, but they're excited that they know that there's a resource. So if they have a family member or friend, they can share it with.
and I think businesses, when they know that there is a place they can go, because, you know, for a long time, it was hard to find people to fill jobs because after COVID, a lot of it was just really hard to find people to fill jobs. And after COVID, when you looked at employment statistics, the rate of employment of people with disabilities improved faster than the rate of employment for others because we were there. and we were reliable, and they wanted us. So that's an important thing to keep in mind.
And I feel too that, that's when I got my job, was the period of when COVID took place.
Mhm.
And at that point, because we weren't going into an office, I had the opportunity to work from home. But I was actually really excited when things let up a little bit that I could go into the office so I could meet my coworkers and I could, show not just my coworkers, but the individuals I was working with, here I am. I don't want to say I'm an example, but yes, I have a disability, but I'm working and that means you can too, if that's what you want. So I was really excited when everybody was like, okay, it's time to go back to work.
Yeah, maybe we should do an episode afterwards about the value of a hybrid employment plan for people who may not be able to get into the office every day, but can still do the job every day. So a way of managing that.
And that's actually what I do right now. I work 2 days in the office and then 3 days from home. And it actually, for myself, it works really, really well. And my employer is fantastic about, if I need to take a little bit of time off for medical appointments, because at the end of the day, they know that I'm going to produce the results that they need and want.
Right. And that's the important thing. So I'm going to thank you for listening. If you want to hear more from Christina, and I'm going to bet that you do, please leave a comment about that and like this program. I hope you're subscribing. You can subscribe for free, although there are some extra benefits for some of the paid tiers, including the Bitch on Wheels, which is only available in the ally and activist tiers. But do tell your friends. Tell your friends to subscribe. They can find Nothing Without Us at patreon.com/nothingwithoutus. You can also see these episodes on YouTube. You can hear them on Spotify. And you can find me on LinkedIn and on Blue Sky. So until the next Nothing Without Us, I'm Annette.